Morning, everybody. To the Off Base Podcast, the podcast carefully crafted to remind you to suck a fat one if you think you're the only one, because you're not. I certainly know that I am not. I am your host. I'm the Rocky Mountain no-name Jackass. It's 30 degrees in the city of Aurora at 7:54 in the a.m. on December 7th, 2021. Chaw time. And the ceremonial spit. That's so disgusting. Off we go, people. So, what do we got going on today? Well, I'll tell you this much. Kids are a lot of fun. Kids are also a pain in the ass. But they're a lot of fun. And there are many moments as a parent where they will make you proud. Last night, my stepdaughter, she had a Christmas concert with her school. She plays the violin, the orchestra played. And they sounded great. The sixth graders went first. It was pretty impressive to hear them. Normally, with kids that young, they got a problem with pitch. But because their orchestra teacher kept the tempos of a lot of their pieces so slow, their pitch was actually pretty good. Normally, with kids that age playing stringed instruments, they'll go like a quarter step flat, rarely sharp. It's usually a quarter step flat, but they were okay. And by quarter step flat, what I mean is you're listening to it and it's like jingle bells. It's like jingle bells, jingle all the way. And it's that quarter step down, maybe even a half step, and your ear is like, stop it. But they did good. And then the 7th and 8th graders, my stepdaughter, got up there next, and not only did they sound even tighter with regards to pitch, but then they started going up tempo because the kids are a little bit more advanced, and they sounded really good. It was a lot of fun. I love going to any concert that the kids play. My stepson plays the clarinet, and he's been in pep bands and marching bands. And my stepdaughter, she plays the violin. So that was fun. Very proud of her last night. And then my son, this morning, very proud of him. I woke him up. I came back down. I got myself changed and went back to work because I started at 5:30. So I start in my pajamas. No big deal. But there has never been a day in my life where I have worked the entire day in my pajamas. But I'll stay in my pajamas because I don't want to, go back into my room and start getting myself ready and blah, blah, blah at 5 a.m. when my wife is still sleeping. It's like, that's rude. So I get out at 5:30 and see if this jackass lets me in. Attaboy, jackass. So I get up anywhere between 4:30 and 5, and then just get out of the room so she can keep sleeping. And then she'll get up to ride the Peloton. I'll go upstairs and wake up the little guy and make sure the older ones are awake, and then come back down. And that's when I change clothes. Excuse me, a little burp. So today I did that, and then I came down. I kept working. My son came down, he found the elf on the shelf and then made himself breakfast. But what I didn't hear him do was what he told me he did. I came into the kitchen and I said, "Hey, buddy, how you doing? You got your breakfast going? Sleep good?" He's giving me thumbs up. Yeah. And I'm leaving, and he said, "Dada." I said, "What?" He said, "I put my clothes away." And I was like, "Oh," because he had a laundry basket in his room that was about half full of his clothes. We got home late last night because of the concert, so we didn't. I usually take the time to help him put him away. So I said, "Oh, you put your laundry basket clothes away?" And he said, "No. I had a lot of clothes in my hamper, so I put them in the washing machine." And I was like, "Whoa!" And then he said to me, "You didn't even have to tell me, Dad." And that's awesome, man. That's what you want. And I've told them all on a number of occasions that ultimately that's where you're going. You've got parents who are guiding you to do the right things right now. So we're going to tell you to do certain things. But when you realize that there are things that need to be done, and then you realize that, hey, I don't need people to tell me to do these things. I'll do them because it's the right thing to do. Well, that's when you start to take that bigger step towards independence, towards maturity, towards adulthood. And I can't remember the last time I said it, but apparently my son took it to heart, and this morning started doing his laundry. Now, he's been doing his laundry for like the last 2-3 years. Like, my wife or I will tell him to bring his stuff down, and we'll help him put it into the machine together, and then help him switch it from the washing machine to the dryer. But once I think the older ones got over 10 years old, then they didn't need our help anymore. They could do it themselves. So that's the age at which that happens. Because the reason why I bring that up is because the older ones were complaining a couple weeks back about how we still baby the little one. Like, they say, "Can you help him with his laundry?" And I'm like, he can't reach inside the washing machine to get all his stuff out. And they're like, "Yeah, but you help him fold his clothes." It's because he can't fold all his clothes, man. He's still learning. They're so funny. It's always a trade-off. It's always a trade-off with the kids. So, interesting little day today so far. I've got a work project on my plate. I came up with the idea last night that I think is going to be pretty freaking cool. So it's a matter of, we're doing a little bit of decluttering. We have a library of models that we display to all of our clients on our website. And we need to declutter some of them because the library is getting far too big. That's been one of my major focuses in my job is consolidating these models, bringing them down to potentially make room for new ones, But I've had this great idea that my managers were very receptive to, that I've been implementing over the past 2 months. And then yesterday I got a really great idea that combines the previous great idea. I know I'm not making any sense. Suffice to say, I'm actually excited to get back to work this morning. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So past that, other things I got to take care of today. My stepson and I will be back in the gym, throwing the weights around, trying to find our max. Ate like shit yesterday. We went to P.F. Chang's, and I am never going to P.F. Chang's again, man. Never again. If there are P.F. Chang lovers out there, God bless you, but you're not going to catch me at that restaurant again. The dude who was our waiter, I ordered a glass of beer to go along with. And when I go out to eat, I like to order stuff that I normally don't make at home or can't make at home. And they had a short rib fried rice on the menu. I got that. My stepson, he got just the regular combo fried rice, and he got sushi as well. Kid loves sushi. A small order of sushi to go along with his combo fried rice. My son, he didn't eat because I dropped off a foot-long ham and cheese from Subway to my stepdaughter because she was hanging out after school because she had her concert. And my son was like, "Oh, can I get one?" And I was like, "Yeah," because he doesn't like Asian food for some reason. He doesn't like rice. It's very strange. I shouldn't say it's strange. Kids have very, very strange palates and taste buds. Like my stepson, who ate scrambled eggs for like the first 4 years of his life. Now I don't think he's touched an egg in 10 years. But he likes a scrambled egg in fried rice. It's weird. It's weird. So anyway, my son, he got a 6-inch ham and cheese from Subway, and he ate that in the car as we were driving to P.F. Chang's. So when he got to P.F. Chang's, he just did his homework when he was there. I helped him with his homework. But so my stepson got the combo fried rice. I got a short rib fried rice. Now, I'll get back to the food in just a second as to why we're never going to P.F. Chang's. But I ordered a beer. to go along with my meal. I love drinking beer with Chinese food. I don't know why, but for me, it's just a fantastic combo. Well, I do know why. When I lived in Virginia, right when I was finishing graduate school, what I would do, I actually played the piano for the 5 o'clock mass at St. Thomas Aquinas Church in Charlottesville every Saturday for like 3 years. And after mass, I would go up the street to an Asian restaurant called the Dragon Lady. And I would always get chicken wings and, I forgot what dish I would order. But I would get her chicken wings and then something else with it. And she had, behind the bar, the Dragon Lady, she's a great lady. She had Tsingtao, which is a Chinese brewed beer. And if you've never had Tsingtao, it is by far my favorite lager to drink. So I think that's where my affinity for drinking beer with Chinese food came from. It's because every Saturday that's what I'd have. Oh, I'd get the poo-poo platter. That's right. So chicken wings and poo-poo platter. All right. So anyway, so I ordered a beer. Dude brings it back. Nice tall glass, frosted glass. He pours it, and then I go to sip it, and I was like, "What the hell is that smell?" Because the beer that I got wasn't Tsingtao. It was a Japanese beer. It was a Japanese beer that I've had before, so I knew what it tasted like. But I'm smelling the smell, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" Come to realize after like my third sip that it tasted like soap. Like there was still soap in the glass that they didn't fully rinse out the glass. So I called dude back over, and I asked him for a new glass. And he said, "Do you want a new beer as well?" I said, "Yeah, if that's no problem, I prefer a fresh beer." So that was good. He got me a new beer, and then he comes back, and he's pouring the new beer into the new glass, and then it's just starts passing the buck. Starts like explaining away why the first beer smelled like soap, and blaming it on the bar staff and how they have this new sanitizer and blah blah blah. Like by him saying that is going to make me say, "Oh, you're doing a better job than the rest of the kitchen, so I'm going to tip you more," you know? And I was a waiter for many years going through college. I understand the position that he's in. He wants the customer to have the best experience. But you don't do that by shitting on your coworkers, right? My expectation is if I got a glass that tastes like soap, that you're going to come over to the table and I'm going to say, "Can I have a new glass because this one tastes like soap?" And you're going to say, "Yes, sir, very sorry, I'll be right back." And you come back and you give me a new glass, and that's that. I don't want to fucking hear about whose problem it is or whose fault it is or who's to blame. I don't want to hear that. I just want a new glass. So after I finish the first glass, then we get our food, right? The food comes. My stepson's got the combo fried rice, beef, shrimp, chicken. I can see chunks like this, like bigger than if you put if you're just listening to this and you're not seeing me, bigger than if you put your index finger and your thumb together, like chunks bigger than that. Particularly of the beef. The shrimp were probably as big as the OK sign. I look down at mine, and I have like these pea-sized pieces of short rib in there. And I had to like dig through the rice to actually find the pieces of short rib. There might have been like 2 ounces of short rib in there, like total. And it sucked. I was not satisfied as a customer of that restaurant by ordering that dish. So halfway through the meal, I'm done with my beer, and dude says, "You want another one?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Now he also brought like a bunch of different hot sauces for me to try, like a chili oil, a chili paste, sriracha, and then this honey mustard. But he said it was wasabi honey mustard. So he goes and he gets my second beer, and right at about that time, I'm trying the wasabi honey mustard. And this shit was like eating raw horseradish sauce, man. Holy hell. Just clean me right the fuck out. I was like, sinuses, yeehaw, motherfucker. So while I'm eating the wasabi, he brings the glass back. And he goes, "Can you smell it for me?" And, I'm trying to deal with the fact that my sinuses are exploding. I kind of smelled the glass, and I was like, yeah, it's fine. So he pours the beer again, and then leaves. Well, it takes, about 2-3 minutes for the wasabi to wear off. And I start tasting my beer again, and fucking, if you wouldn't know it, this fucking thing tastes like soap again. I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm looking over trying to find our waiter, and he catches my eye, and he knows that I want him to come over. And I said, "Yo, man," I said, "I'm sorry, I was eating wasabi when I smelled the first glass. Can you give me a new one?" I said, "You don't need to give me a new beer. I can just pour this one into the other one." But in my head, I'm like, why the fuck didn't you smell it? So immediately, that's what he starts explaining again. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, he did say he was sorry, but he was blaming the bartending staff again. He was like, "Yeah, they got the fresh batch of glasses that came out," and he goes, I didn't smell it because I had my mask on." And I'm like, "You had your mask on? Just pull your fucking mask down and smell the fucking glass." I was like, Jesus Christ. How about another excuse, man? You got 3 or 4 more in your back fucking pocket? You jackass. So I got a shitty entree with the short ribs. I got 2 glasses now that smelled like soap. I'm like, what the fuck? So then we finished, and he was working with a trainee at the time. She came over to check on us. I said, "Yeah, can you just bring the check?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, he's got the other check, but he's he's with another table right now." So the dude didn't take long to come back and bring the check, and we were in no rush at all. But he comes back 1-2 minutes later, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I was in the other room. I had a table of 40 in there. That's why I couldn't bring your check to you." And I'm like, I don't care. I don't fucking care where you were. Thanks for the check. Bye-bye. Fucking P.F. Chang's, man. Passing the buck. So when we were done with dinner, I actually talked to the manager, and obviously there's no way that I described the story to her as bluntly as I did now. I was more diplomatic, and I started off by asking her. I said, "Are you okay to receive some criticism, some feedback?" And she said, "Yeah, absolutely." And I told her, "The only reason I'm telling you this is because I would want your servers to deliver the best possible service. I'm not saying this to get the dude in trouble, just to help him get better." And after I was halfway through, and I was telling her about how he was, blaming his coworkers on why the glass stunk like soap, she immediately, she was like, "Oh yeah, he should not be doing that." And I said, in my head, I'm like, "Yeah, I know." So my wife and I have done that in the past. If we've had bad service, it's never to get the person in trouble. It's always to help them improve and realize, what a good customer experience is. But you'll probably never catch me going back to P.F. Chang's, unfortunately. So that was P.F. Chang's. So today, here we go. I'm turning back on base. Hoping to see the Moto Man. Moto, as I've said before, is not M-O-D-O, it's M-O-T-O, as in motivator. Because he's the guy who first got me hooked on just repeating to myself throughout the day to stay motivated in whatever I'm doing. I got some great motivation to get back to work. Like I said, I got a really good idea for consolidating a lot of our models that we have in our library. I got some motivation for tonight. Getting back in the gym with my stepson, continuing our journey through the end here of 2021, getting ready for 2022 as we get into the sculpting phase in 2022 of our workouts. I got to think, my wife's out of town. She's in DC for a work trip. So I got to think what I can make for dinner for the kids. And this was something I was going to do over the weekend, but didn't need to because my wife, as I talked about yesterday, ended up making that beef Wellington, which we got leftovers for, and I had some yesterday, and it was very good. You could still see some pink on the inside of the steak, which was real nice. So tonight, here's a dish that I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna end the last 5 minutes or so of the podcast with a cooking technique. When we were in Texas, one of the Christmases, my wife had bought me 2 tapas cookbooks by Jose Andres. And if you don't know who this guy is, he's got a restaurant inside the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas called Jaleo, with a huge focus on paella. But he's a Spanish chef, pretty renowned. And the reason why I wanted a tapas cookbook is because I had been looking for one ever since my wife and I had met. We got to know each other in the beginning of our relationship, basically cultivated it at a restaurant in Charlottesville, Virginia called Mas. Mas translating into English as more. It was Mas Tapas. So we would go to Mas, me and her and friends, and it would just be drink tapa, drink tapa, drink tapa. And we'd be there for like 4 or 5 hours. Just had the absolute best time. Best time getting to know each other, tasting delicious food. And that was the thing too, is Mas Tapas in Charlottesville, fabulously flavored dishes. So that's where it all started on why I wanted to get a tapas cookbook. So my wife finally found some, and they were Jose Andres tapas cookbooks. Got them for me for Christmas. And there was a cooking technique that he used in one of his dishes that just, I thought was bananas, because I hadn't seen it before in a restaurant. And I was like, oh, I got to try this. We took a whole red snapper, head on, tail on. You don't even need to descale it. Just make sure it's gutted. Just stick some herbs on the inside, like rosemary, thyme, a bay leaf, and then pack that fucker in salt. And stick it in the oven for about a half hour at like 375, 400, I think it was. And oh my God, it's some of the juiciest fish that you will ever have. All right, hang on. Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, that's why I keep it up there.
I appreciate that. There we go. You're good to go. Thank you.
Thanks, man. So red snapper baked in salt. And then in the second cookbook, I started flipping through, and he had the exact same technique that he used for a pork tenderloin. But the timing on it, I think, was just a little bit less. Maybe it was 20 to 25 minutes in the oven, not a half hour. But this one I pulled out of the oven, cracked the salt crust off of it. Well, first of all, you put a layer of salt down, and then you put the herbs on the bottom, put the pork tenderloin, the herbs on top, and then pack it in salt. So I break the crust off of it, and the recipe, it calls for, after you break the crust off, you slice it up nice and thin, and weave pieces of Serrano ham through it, and then drizzle olive oil and flaky sea salt over the top. Oh man, that also was one of the juiciest pork tenderloins that I've ever had. And I think I'm going to do that tonight for the kids and myself. They also have been loving this garlic jasmine rice that I've been making as well, where when you go to boil the water for the rice, you just grate 3 to 4 garlic cloves in there. The smell just goes right through the house. It's fucking awesome. So that'll wind it down for this morning. We've got the mountains in the background, the city of Denver in the foreground. It's looking great. Maybe I'll give you guys a Christmas present one day and show you what that view looks like. It's pretty freaking awesome. But with that being said, that'll take care of the morning podcast. Hope everybody has a great day, and I'll smell you this afternoon.